Blues are 7-2. You cannot write the script of what 2022 has been so far for the Carlton Football Club. Welcome to the Round 9 review after a great win by the Blues. It was Carlton 15 goals, 105, defeating the GWS Giants 11 goals, 975 in the graveyard shift down at the cemetery that is the Giant Stadium, the soul-sucking Giant Stadium. And I cannot believe what is going on. It has just become a constant weekly reminder of change and that things are different and that, you know, the turning point has arrived and the group and the club is moving in the direction that we all yearned for it to move into. And, you know, it's just pure bliss right now. You know, I'm filming this straight after the game, straight after the fan cam. So emotions are high, spirit is high. You know, it was good. I didn't get to Sydney today. It didn't work, but there were quite a few people that I saw that were there, and it was just good to see the commitment of people making the interstate trip, and also, you know, the Sydney fans coming down. But I'll be honest, I was pretty confident all week, and I felt a bit uneasy about it. And what I mean by that is, like, I was talking to whoever throughout the week and reading the comments on Instagram and on YouTube and whatnot, and I sensed that, you know, the same narrative that we've been latching onto for the last, you know, decade or 2 decades of, you know, Harry's out 6 weeks. Why is it always us? Lewis Young, health and safety protocols. Doomsday. You know, Leon Cameron obviously resigning this week and it being his final game and never having beaten the Giants. So all these little factors would normally point to the typical game that Carlton lose and, you know, us being due for a loss and all of that. But I really, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, felt that we were still the better team. And the thing about the Giants is they're going through a really tough patch right now. And my observation of them all year is that they just don't have that connectedness for 4 quarters. They remind me a little bit of us in 2021, dare I say it. So I knew that they were very talented, ultra talented, if you will. But I also had confidence that we were the more connected team and that more times than not, the team that plays with that connectedness over the course of 4 quarters wins. And I just felt that we were still the better team no matter what. And, you know, I think this win and this situation is a good exercise in perspective. Because if you're looking for a reason why we were going to lose today, you could have found it. But if you were looking for a reason why we could have won today, you could have also found it. You know, yeah, Harry might have been out, but I still think we had 6 All-Australian caliber players. Cripps, Walsh, Hewitt, Sard, Charlie Curnow. You might even want to add Chera in there. Just some seriously good players. But more importantly, we're a good team. That's my takeaway from today. Like, we're a good team. You know, we're not a great team just yet. Yep, we're in the top 4 right now. But I think we're going to have more tests coming along the way, and there's going to be more challenges coming along the way, and we're going to have losses. We're going to get beaten, but ultimately, just to be back on board with the process and be back on board knowing that no matter what, there's an ultimate confidence that we're on the right path and we're moving forward and we're closer to a premiership than what we've ever been with this group. We're still very far away from that, but to have confidence and belief that we're on the right path, and I think slowly but surely the rest of the supporters will jump on board with that as well. And I don't begrudge anyone for not having faith. I wish everyone would have faith, but I totally understand why people haven't been able to really jump on board yet. But I think over the last few weeks, maybe even today was a big one, because the Giants have the tools to really beat us and beat us well today. But the fact that we got the job done, controlled the game, was special. You know, I think the key element for me was, obviously in the preview, looking back to the GWS game, you know, this time-ish last year in round 14, where it was a disaster, or round 12, it was a disaster. And to see the difference in what has happened in just under 12 months is remarkable. You know, I thought we actually set the tone for the tenacity of the game. I think the general narrative was that the Giants were going to set the tone because they were going to come out for Leon Cameron and really play a strong brand. But we actually did that. We flipped the narrative on its head. You know, we started strong, kicked the first 2 goals. The pressure was hot. then, I noticed this ability, which is what has really shown through over the last few weeks, this ability for us to move the defensive mechanism of the opposition left to right patiently and wait for that opening in the corridor to use it. It's good to see where we're playing a really mature brand of football. The TDK goal in the first quarter was huge. Obviously, he was up against it today, up against Braden Pruce, who was probably he was the best ruckman on the ground today, and he definitely, won that battle overall. But just to see him continue to compete, knowing that the bumps are coming, and this is an example of one of those bumps along the way where he probably gets beaten individually, but still shows enough to keep pushing through and competing. I think that was important. The Giants, obviously, I think one of the turning points was, I think Sam Doherty turned the ball over in the back half and gave Toby Green a goal. And then the Giants seemed to start getting on top and bringing the game back on their terms. Zach Williams then goes down in that first quarter, and it looked like the worst. It looked like the Achilles. The devastation on his face and the body language was really, really sad to see. And, we just let ourselves down a little bit in that first quarter towards the end and gifted them a few goals and let them in the game. And then obviously the second quarter, we kicked on pretty well. We conceded a couple of goals that we just need to tidy up. And these are the bumps along the way that I'm talking about. We're going to have little mistakes and passages, but the beauty of this group now is that I have confidence that when we make those mistakes don't become 5, 6 in a row, 7 in a row. We're able to respond and kick a goal sooner rather than later to make sure that things are back on our terms. I think that second quarter was just probably not our best out of all the quarters. The third quarter was the third quarter that we've been seeing over the last month. The premiership quarter is back. We're really starting to come out better in second halves and get things back on our terms. Obviously, it was a level game at halftime. I put up the halftime post on Instagram, and I'm seeing the comments. Everyone's getting negative. Everyone's getting upset. Everyone's getting PTSD and fighting with each other. And I had no doubt in my mind that we were winning the game. Just needed to get things back on our terms. And once we did that, I knew that we were the better team ultimately. So third quarter was good. I think Lockie O'Brien's goal was a really big moment there. That together with the Kennedy goal after the 50-metre penalty, I thought that was important. Then we just hung on. And then the fourth quarter, it was a quarter of moments. I thought Charlie Curnow today did really well competing, oftentimes against 2 or 3 defenders, just to bring the ball to ground. And then he finally got the reward on the scoreboard in that fourth quarter, kick 2. And then I had written down, we just need one more to ice the game. And it was Jack Silvani, just with a beautiful goal. And that would have been one of the more special moments for the cheer squad and for the fans that were there to see that live, because that was special. And I'm speechless at times now, because it's like, how do you take this in? Like, I've not seen this before. I was not of memory in 1996 to remember how good we started that season. I was 6 years old. I don't really remember it. So this is as good as I've seen since 2011-ish. But we didn't start this hot back then. So we win the game, and the storylines, there's so many of them. I mean, you can talk about Corey Durden, you can talk about Zach Fisher, you can talk about Cottrell and these guys who are not the superstars of the team, but they're just doing their job. The Jack Noonses. But then if you want to talk about the stars, you can. I think Jacob Wiedering did a really solid job just to shore up that defence. Lockie Plowman, so many people deserve a lot of kudos today. And it's just good to see this group become a really tough team to play against. 8 players today who played in our 22 that was named were 22 years or below. 8 players, so that's a fascinating stat. And with that, you expect there to be some inconsistencies and some shortcomings. And so the fact that we're just able to keep going and hang in there, and Vossi and the group, they've just got it all humming along right now, and we're just going along for the ride. This is literally what we have wanted and what we've been asking for as a supporter base for the whole rebuild and for the last 26 odd years. This is what we've wanted to see. We're seeing it. We're one more step closer to 12 wins and locking ourselves in a finals situation in 2022. And what else can you say? Like, it's just good. I think the other part as well was that we were able to really put the foot down in that fourth quarter rather than hang on like we have been at certain parts of the season this year in the fourth quarter, after putting ourselves in a winning position. We're able to just ice the game, put it away, take the big moments, create and generate that energy and go from there. So I'm just wrapped with what's happening. I'm over the moon. And, all of a sudden, the imagination just starts to wander. And, obviously I don't want to get too carried away and start dreaming of flags and all of that. But the imagination starts taking over as to what's possible with this group. It's amazing what belief in the system can do to the way a team plays. And you can just tell whatever the instruction is, whatever everyone's role is, everyone's buying in. Everyone has bought into their role and everyone wants to be a part of it. And, I made comments earlier in the week about, for this group, most, if not all of them, have only experienced the losses. And the losses and the failures are what shape you for the success. So when it starts turning, my hope is that because of all that losing, they're just desperate to hold on to this situation that we currently have and not let it go by the wayside. And, this year for me is all about just getting to finals. Do the goalposts move? I don't know. I honestly still think it's just get to 12 wins and we'll worry about, expectations for prelims and grannies and all of that maybe next year. But for the time being, it's all about right now. It's all about the end of round 9, Sunday, the 15th of May, 2022. It's all about this exact moment and just documenting it for what it is. I'm just so proud to be a part of this. I'm so relieved to have stuck fat and started to feel the turning point come. I hope it doesn't go away, obviously, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but you can't deny what we're doing right now is exactly what we've wanted from this group. So I'm pleased. I thought the player of the game was a tough one. I actually thought Sam Walsh was the player of the game. I think that was his best game of the season. Looked really reassured, kicked his goals, had 30 plus possessions, went at 87% disposal efficiency. Thought Doc was a little stiff there because he kicked one of the ceiling goals there. But yeah, I think Sam Walsh was the player of the game and there were so many other contributors. It was a very well-rounded performance and I'm just so relieved to be talking and thinking in the way that I am right now. But what about you? How did you experience today's game? Did you go into it believing in the narrative that everything was set up for a Carlton loss, or did you still have the faith that no matter what, we were going to win today? I'd love to dive into your mentality, and I'd also love to understand, now that we're 7-2, is there anyone out there that maybe was waiting or still waiting to see a win like this before they jumped on board? And if that's you, or has it turned? Are you fully behind what's going on? Are you believing that we're on the right track? Share some insight and we'll chat about it in the comments. We're 7-2, baby, in the top 4. Let's go. Friday night next week, a massive one. I look forward to it. We'll chat to you in the comments. And as always, go the Mighty Blues.